Am I the jerk for making a quilt out of gifted baby clothes? Hi all, I am a 26-year-old female with 2 children, a 4-year-old daughter and a 6-month-old son. When I was pregnant, I was gifted a lot of clothes, baby blankets, sheets, and other items from the women in my family and friends group. Most of these items were for newborn babies and bassinets. I also have many clothes that my daughter has outgrown. In short, I have an excess of baby items. I recently took up sewing as a hobby. It started with altering my own clothes because I can never find pants with legs short enough for me. Then I found a pattern for an infinity scarf online that I thought I would make for my daughter. I ended up using fabric from my son's old bassinet sheets because it had teddy bears on it. I thought it would be really pretty. I then decided to make a quilt from my son's baby clothes to gift him for his first birthday. Well, my mother-in-law, who is a 54-year-old female, came to my room the other day and saw me cutting up my son's old clothes. Keep in mind we live together, and I have my own small cabin that serves as a bedroom. She asked, "What are you doing? Why are you cutting up all his baby clothes?" I told her, "Oh, I had all these, so I wanted to make a quilt for his first birthday." She just stared at the squares of fabric that I cut and said, "These are good clothes. Why are you ruining them? These are gifts you're ruining." I said to her, "Well, I don't think I'm ruining them. I'm putting them to use since he can't fit them anymore." She responded, "These could be donated for other babies that need them. There's nothing wrong with them. Why don't you keep them for when you have another baby?" I replied, "I don't plan on having another baby and thought that making a quilt for him would be a good idea." She said, "You should just save them or donate them if you don't want them." I replied, "Oh," and went quiet because I knew that if I continued talking, it would escalate. She said, "Yeah, don't cut them up. That's just a waste. Keep them," and then walked away. When I went into the dining room later that night, I could hear her talking to my father-in-law, a 56-year-old male, about it. Her room is connected to the living room, which is connected to the dining room. I heard her say that I was cutting up good baby clothes that she and the family gave me, and that I was ungrateful because I was ruining gifts. He agreed and said I should have just given the clothes back if I didn't want them. They went on for about a half hour before they walked out and realized I was feeding my kids at the table. None of them said anything and just continued past me outside. I had my head down and felt really embarrassed. I honestly thought that since he had grown out of them and because I have no need for them anymore, it wouldn't be that big of a deal if I repurposed them. At least they stay in the family. I don't know if I'm being too casual about this or not, so I wanted to ask, am I the asshole? The gifts have already served their intended purpose, and they belong to you. Your in-laws need to grow up and should be glad you are doing something that will get a lot more use out of the clothes. Is your mother-in-law mad that you aren't planning to have more children, or is she just an overly critical control freak? They are yours, and you are using them in a very cool way, not throwing them away. Am I the jerk for moving out of my narcissistic mother's house and into the dorms? I, a 23-year-old female, graduated from university in June 2023 and moved back to my childhood home. My twin sister introduced me to my now boyfriend, a 24-year-old male, in September, and things have been going great. I work during the day, come home for a couple of hours to say hello to my family and clean up, and then sleep at his house every night. However, my mother has a massive issue with me sleeping there and wants to throw me out over it. What she does not know is that I secretly got a dorm and am planning to leave to escape her. My mother is extremely manipulative and narcissistic, which is why I choose to be out of the house whenever I can, making myself scarce as much as possible. She is verbally and emotionally abusive, thrives on instilling fear in my siblings and me, and will go out of her way to get revenge on any of her children who do not submit to her will. For example, my twin sister is in law school and has a 7-year relationship with a boyfriend that my mother hates. When she attempted to break them up and my sister refused to cave to her demands, she threw her out of the house at the peak of her law school finals so she would fail out. Fortunately, she did not. I handle a massive amount of responsibility in the house. I do all the chores by myself because my mother, who is a stay-at-home mom, does not do anything. I mediate blowout screaming matches between her and my father, act as her emotional dumping ground, and try to shield my little brothers from her terror, all while working full-time and studying for my real estate license. She does not care about any of this or anything I try to do to help her and make her life easier daily. She constantly threatens me with homelessness all because of where I sleep and often complains behind my back to my siblings about how much she hates having me there. She wants to throw me out because I am not available to her whenever she needs. Every time I speak to her, she either ignores me or glares at me and tells me to get out of her house. There are many issues I have not mentioned, but this is a good chunk of them. I recently got into graduate school and decided I had had enough of her and the amount of responsibility I handle without a speck of gratitude or a thank you. I secretly secured a dorm for myself at my school so I can get away from her. This dorm was supposed to be a secret, but my father told her my plan. Now she is furious and making my life a living nightmare, claiming I went behind her back and that I am a liar and abandoning her. Am I the asshole? You did nothing to deserve criticism. She's just annoyed it's on your terms and not hers. Prioritizing your well-being by moving out of a toxic environment is essential. Securing a dorm was a necessary step for your mental health and independence. Would I be the asshole if I don't go to my friend's party because she ditched us? I, 23-year-old female, just graduated university with 2 of my friends and my girlfriend. Both of our friends have been planning on holding a party to celebrate the graduation for months. The first friend, 21-year-old female, let's call her Jane, had her party last weekend with a bunch of family and friends from outside of school. My girlfriend and I showed up, even though it was 1.5 hours away from us. Jane showed us a text our other friend, 24-year-old female, let's call her Anne, sent her. The content of the message was basically, "Sorry, but I can't make it to your party because I have to help out my family with work on their property. It would be weird of me to not help them since they are throwing my party next weekend." First off, I completely understand Anne wanting to help her family since the property they need help with is the place where she will hold her party, and also it is family. I would want to help them too if they asked me. Where my issue comes in is that she has been ditching our things for as long as we have known her. Not always, but frequently enough to be hurtful now. Around 6 months ago, when my girlfriend and I moved in together, Anne didn't show up for our housewarming, and she had a completely fair reason since she is very allergic to our cat. She promised to schedule something else together, which never happened. Both Anne and Jane have been planning their parties for months. For Anne to ditch last minute shows me that she thinks hers is more important than Jane's. Another recent incident was my girlfriend going to a festival about 2 weeks ago where Anne was also there, which was part of the reason why my girlfriend bought a ticket. They talked about being together at times during the festival, especially at 2 concerts. They were not each other's main group, but they both said they wanted to hang out during the 3 days. My girlfriend was texting her during the first day, but there was no reply. On the second day, she finally got a reply and they briefly met up for 1 concert, but then nothing again. My girlfriend was super sad and felt rejected by Anne, which makes me reconsider Anne as a person and friend as well. Where I might be the asshole is that this whole party has been planned for months, just as Jane's was, and I don't want to stoop to Anne's level and come across as petty. She has accommodation for everyone and is looking forward to it a lot. Why I don't want to show up is not as revenge, but because I already feel disappointed by Anne and don't know what to say to her, and we are not even at the party yet. So please Reddit, help me out and tell me, would I be the asshole if I don't show up? It's important to have boundaries and value significant friendships, but that should start with talking it out. Skipping her party because she couldn't attend someone else's would be petty and would make someone the bigger jerk. It's worth considering why she might be like this, and if she's even aware of how her actions are affecting others. Instead of fighting with pettiness, maybe talk to her first and see if there's something she's working on or if it's a misunderstanding. Am I the jerk for telling my partner about issues with my friends? I, a 19-year-old male, started dating my girlfriend, an 18-year-old female, 5 months ago. We've really connected and have been inseparable ever since we met. I've also been quite busy with work in college. I have gotten quite sick around 3 times in the past 2 months, so I've seen my friends less than usual. We're 10 guys in our friend group, so me being missing a couple of times shouldn't be a big problem. However, my closest friend told me that 2 of my other friends were constantly complaining about me sharing everything about them with my girlfriend. I really haven't told her much about my friends since they really aren't that interesting for me to be constantly talking about them. They're funny and important in my life, but not my whole focus, and I have no reason to tell her about their private matters. Despite that, they kept complaining about it behind my back, but I just ignored it. Recently, 3 of my friends, including the 2 who talked about me behind my back, cornered another of my closest friends and confronted him about showing a group chat discussion we had to a friend of his who is outside the group. They told him he had betrayed the group's trust and that now they were afraid to talk because who knows what else he might share. Once I learned about this, I confronted them. I was angry because they said he had betrayed the group's trust without even asking the rest of the group. I also defended him venting about that discussion since it got really heated. And I believe there's nothing wrong with sharing a conversation you were involved in as long as it doesn't include someone else's secret, which it didn't. They told me, whatever happens in the group, stays in the group, and said, nothing should be shared outside. I called that cultist behavior, and they called me an asshole. I wanted to tell my girlfriend because this has me pretty shaken up, but I felt guilty and didn't end up telling her because I didn't want to be the asshole by breaking their trust. I don't really believe sharing this with my girlfriend is a big deal. After all, she is the person I'm closest with. Do I just not understand how friendship works? Am I the asshole? Is my friend who vented about the discussion an asshole for doing so? Based on the story, it doesn't seem like anything wrong was done. The whole situation seems a bit overblown, especially if nothing significant was shared. It makes sense to want to talk to someone close about things that are bothering you. Sometimes people just need to relax and trust their friends a little more. Am I the jerk for yelling at my family member? Hi, I am a 14-year-old female and I never thought I'd ever be posting here, but I need some outside opinions. In March of this year, my 45-year-old aunt took me to a P-Ank concert because P-Ank helped me through a lot in my life, and my aunt thought it would be a good opportunity to take me. The day of the concert came and I was a little bit anxious because of the number of people that would be around me. I've never been great at communicating my feelings, so I didn't tell my aunt this. When she tried to hug me, I said to her, "Could you please not touch me right now in the nicest way possible?" She kept trying to hug me, and that put me in a worse mood. My whole life, I've known my aunt is an alcoholic, but she would never get to the point where she couldn't function properly, so I was okay with it. The night of the concert, she filled her water bottle with wine and drank it in 1 hour. After that, she got 4 cups of wine. I just thought, oh, that's fine. That's probably just for the rest of the concert. She drank those in 15 minutes. Then, she got up and got another 4 cups of wine. This is when she started getting odd. She started yelling at me, calling me an ungrateful brat. She then pulled my pigtails out. My hair was put up with elastic bands and my hair is curly, so that hurt. I grabbed her hand and said, "That hurts, please stop." She didn't stop. She pulled the other one out. I got upset and tried to get up and go to the bathroom. She tried to stop me by putting her leg in front of me. When I went the other way, she grabbed my arm and tried to pull me back down, but I pulled away. I am autistic and she knows this and that sometimes I can't be touched. She completely ignored that and was acting like a literal toddler the whole time. After the concert, I tried to talk to her about it calmly, and she blew up at me. We got in the taxi and she was trying to guilt trip me, saying stuff like, "You don't love me." I called my mom to pick me up. When we got back, my aunt told me to grab my stuff and wait on the front porch for my mom, so I did. I was telling my mom what happened and my aunt came out saying things like, "I never did that. She's lying, and she's having an episode." Yes, I do have episodes from time to time, but this was not one of them. I ended up screaming at her and telling her to go back inside. I've never screamed at family members before. She was trying to talk to my mom, saying, "I don't know what to do," and my mom just said, "Go the fuck back inside." She did. What I really want to know is why she thought it was a good idea to get blackout drunk with her teenage niece. What was going through her mind to think that was a good idea? You are not the cause of this issue. Don't feel guilty about any of this. She took something that could have been super cool and fun and ruined it because of her addiction. She should have been respecting boundaries regardless of age or relationship. You are allowed to voice something that makes you uncomfortable and should use that voice to stand up for yourself in situations like this. Hopefully, this behavior is now on your mom's radar and she will make sure it doesn't happen again. Am I the jerk for moving out after my roommate and friend told me that my feelings don't matter? My roommate, a 22-year-old female, and I, a 19-year-old female, have been friends for over 6 years now. We spontaneously moved in with each other after she broke up with her ex-boyfriend because she had a spare room in her apartment and couldn't afford the rent alone. The same month we decided to move in with each other, I got into a relationship and she started her hoe phase. I don't have a problem with that. We both have our own rooms, and she had a decent taste in guys personality-wise. It all went pretty well until 2 weeks ago. She started something casual with a guy that she described as a sociopath and a narcissist. When I voiced my concerns, she shut me down, saying she hasn't really formed an opinion on him yet. So I let her be. A day later, she found out that he had cheated on his girlfriend with her and broken up with that girl the same day he had slept with my roommate. When I asked her what she was going to do now, expecting her to drop that rat like a hot potato, she told me that she, again, didn't form an opinion on that yet and thought about continuing to see him again. I was pretty mad. She always prides herself on being a girl's girl, and yet she considered sleeping with that cheater again. I let her be though, hoping she'd come to her senses on her own. A few days later, she told me via text that he would come over to our apartment in a few days. Here's where it gets tricky. I used to be abused by my ex pretty severely a few years ago. My ex also was a raging narcissist and was, in general, pretty similar to how my roommate had described the guy she is with. So I was genuinely uncomfortable and even scared to have that guy in my home. That's also what I told my roommate. She knows the whole story with my ex because she was actually one of the first people to whom I had told the story a few years ago. To my surprise, my roommate reacted with indifference to my voice discomfort. She told me that she was sorry I felt that way, but it didn't make a difference to her. The guy would still come over. We also discussed that topic in person later that day, with no different outcome. She even got mad at me, saying that she wouldn't let me restrict her, that she's free to do whatever, and it would be none of my business who she brings home. So I impulsively got into looking for new places to live. I found one quickly, got a contract signed for September, and told her about it a week later. Now, am I the asshole? I know it was impulsive, but I feel very uncomfortable and also sad with the fact that my roommate doesn't feel the need or want to consider my feelings over her fun. Sorry for my English, I am not a native. There are no jerks here, OP. You're free to live wherever you feel safe, but your roommate is under no obligation to curtail her love life just because of your past trauma. It sounds like your lifestyles are incompatible, so moving out should be a win for everyone. She has plenty of time to find a new roommate. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.